Welcome to Owayne Allen Media. One of the biggest and most important events happening in Jamaica right now is Jamaica's transition to becoming a republic. Prime Minister Andrew Holness and opposition leader Mark Golding have been going back and forth through a series of public letters about how to move forward. So before we dive into a full political back and forth, let me say, one thing and make it very clear. In my opinion, Jamaica becoming a republic is a good thing. It's the right decision and it's the right direction for the country. Because when we talk about becoming a republic, we're not just talking about moving, the British monarch as our head of state. We're talking about taking back ownership. You get me? So ownership of our resources, our land and our beaches. Did you know that Jamaica owns none of its beaches? The British royal family and private foreign interests control most of them. So that alone just tell you why becoming a republic is not just a symbolic thing. It's an economic thing. It's about power. It's about our total freedom. Now, Prime Minister Andrew Holness recently renewed his call for collaboration with opposition leader Mark Golding on Jamaica's transition to a republic. Andrew Holness made his letter public on Instagram, urging Mark Golding to engage with Justice Minister Deraisx as a preliminary step and even propose reviving the famous Vale Royal talks, the mechanism where both sides traditionally meet to discuss major national issues. Now, Andrew Holness says that the point of meeting with Chuck first is to get a briefing on how the Ministry of Justice now handles constitutional reform, since the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs was merged into it, right? He insists that this meeting is just the first step before the two leaders meet in person. Now, Mark Golding, on the other hand, hasn't been too eager, you get me, to meet Minister Chuck. Mark Golding made it clear that he believes the conversation needs to happen between him and Andrew Holness directly, not through another party. However, Andrew Holness said that collaboration at all levels is key and that Mark Golding and his team should meet with Minister Chuck to get things started. I believe if Mark Golding does not want to meet personally with Minister Chuck, he should let his team meet with the minister and start the process, and then meet Andrew Holness at a later date and get this vehicle moving. Now, in Andrew Holness' letter, he gave a full timeline of how we got here. He says that the push for constitutional reform started years ago when both parties publicly expressed their support for Jamaica becoming a republic, especially around the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence. He even quoted Mark Golding's own 2021 speech in Parliament, where Mark Golding said, "The time has come for Jamaica to become a republic within the Commonwealth, with a Jamaican head of state, and for us to swear allegiance to the Constitution and the people of Jamaica." At that time, both Andrew Holness and Mark Golding, JLP, PNP seemed united. Former Prime Minister PJ Patterson also wrote urging, both of them to move quickly. So in January 2022, Andrew Holness established the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs to formally focus on this. Then both leaders, met under the Vale Royal talks in February 2022, discussing Jamaica's 68th and how to move forward with Jamaica becoming a republic, getting republic status. Mark Golding was even quoted saying that the PNP wanted to do it more quickly than the JLP does, and fully supported having a Jamaican head of state. At that stage, everything looked good, everything looked corridor. There was a consensus, and the government believed both parties were ready to move forward one step at a time. But the turning point really came when the government invited the opposition to name members to the constitutional reform, or you can call it CRC, a multi-stakeholder group meant to review years of prior work and guide the process. Mark Golding agreed to join but raised some questions, and he questioned that whether a review of the committee was even necessary, and most importantly, he insisted that Jamaica's transition to a republic must go hand in hand with adopting the Caribbean Court of Justice as the as Jamaica's final appellate court. Andrew Holness disagreed with that, arguing that there was no national consensus on that issue in particular, and that the two should be dealt with separately, first becoming a republic and then discussing the CCJ at a later date. And then, as you know, that disagreement delayed the appointment of the CRC for 9 months. Now, eventually, the two sides met again in 2023 under the New Vale Royal talks and agreed to move forward with a phased approach. Phase 1 being Jamaica's transition to a republic. Opposition members finally joined the community, and real progress was made. And the CRC did 14 months of work, public consultation, reviews and studies, and produce a detailed report. But in April 2024, right before the report was finalized, the opposition expressed reservation. Mark Golding once again said he would only support Jamaica becoming a republic if it also meant making the CCJ the final court. That was a big thing back then. And as you know, Andrew Holness rejected that, saying it was never agreed upon. As a result, Mark Golding told his representative not to sign the report, that the decision effectively stalled that progress. 17 months have now passed with no real progress during that time. Both parties took their position to the public, each campaigning on their version of the constitutional reform. In his manifesto, Andrew Holness, JP, promised to prioritize Jamaica transition to a republic and keep the progress inclusive. After the general election, Andrew Holness was re-elected, as we all know, and has a mandate to deliver on that promise. So he's reaching out once again to Mark Golding, and this time calling for a return to the Vale Royal talks, inviting Mark Golding to sit down and move forward in a collaborative and inclusive manner. Now, here's my opinion again, and this is strictly my opinion, right? I believe Jamaica becoming a republic is a great thing for Jamaica. We have been independent since 1962, but we are still under the British monarchy, right? That means symbolically and politically and economically we are still tied to a system that benefits them and not necessarily benefits us. But when Jamaica becomes a republic, it opens the door for nationalization, meaning Jamaica can finally reclaim control of its resources. And it's really ridiculous that most of Jamaica's beaches are not owned by Jamaicans but by foreign interests, including the British royal family. How can a nation call itself truly independent when its natural resources belong to someone else? And you get me? So whether it's Andrew Holness or it's Mark Golding or whoever leads this charge of Jamaica becoming a republic, I believe, again, we need to push this forward, and we need to push this forward right now and not get stuck in a political tug of war in any way, shape or form. The republic conversation should be about Jamaica's sovereignty and self-determination, not where you said this and you said that just to gain political points. Jamaica needs leaders who are willing to put all of that aside and put the country, put Jamaica first, and that is what we want, that is what we're dealing with. You get me? So yeah, man, let me know what you think about that in the comment section, or in Allen Media. We keep you informed.